Kindly give me the questions again so that I can be able to go through them slowly by slowly.
Okay.
On the questions, if you can give them to me again.
The question is about quadrigraphs. Chord graphs. So even if you type in the chat box, I can read out.
For the one of quadrigraphs, I wanted to show it so much by typing. So allow me to first not answer that one for now.
We can
first
switch to some other. Yes, we can switch to other question.
Yes. Give me the second question, please.
Yes, they are asking about Schwa rule. When we have to use Schwa rule, please explain what is Schwa rule.
The Schwa rule is about all the vowels. When you check the vowels in words, there are vowels which are emphasized and there are vowels which are not emphasized. For me, what I do advise, whoever is teaching children English as a second language, I want you to understand that the Schwa rule is one of the hardest things, or teaching the Schwa sound is one of the hardest things, because we who learn English as a second language, sometimes we even miss to understand where the Schwa sound is supposed to be put. So when you focus on it, the younger children will not understand the Schwa rule. I don't know how your children are, but mine, when I'm teaching them, for them to understand the Schwa rule is something very, very complicated. So what do? My focus is on the sounds in the word. Remember, even the whites themselves, they find it as a big problem to teach their children the Schwa rule. This is the Schwa sound is found almost in every vowel. When you look at the 5 vowels, you don't know when it will appear in a word. When you look at the word banana, someone says banana. When you say banana, it means you are treating it like all vowels are the same, but there is supposed to be banana. So the first one is an accented one. It is an emphasized syllable. Then the others are not so much emphasized. Therefore, I don't know how it is in your country, India, but I want to tell you the Schwa rule, if you focus on it, you are going to confuse your children. Basically, for me, what I do is to teach the word the way it is. That is a rule which I can explain maybe in writing to simply us as parents. But for children, the more you focus on it, is the more you confuse your class.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Let's have the next question, please. I'm trying to share my screen and I see whether I can be able to type something. Madam, let's go to the next question. Madam, the next question.
When CH says K sound as in Christmas, is there any rule?
When you look at CH, it is one of the most confusing sounds, because in some words it will say sh, in some words it will say k, and in some words it will say sh. I don't know whether someone has found a word where CH says sh. Like when you look at the word champagne, the word champagne begins with the CH, but the CH is saying sh. When you look at the word chef, CHEF, the CH is saying sh. The same thing applies to words like choir, the words like Christmas, names like Christine, all those ones are simply having CH when it is saying k. When you look at all these words, there is no very clear rule. You cannot find a rule which shows you when do we say ch and when do we say k. Therefore, what are you supposed to be doing as a teacher? As a teacher, you are supposed to teach these according to alternative spellings. When you teach sound k of letter C and sound k of letter CK and sound k of letter K, you also teach sound k but spelled using CH. Therefore, there is no rule, but you can group these words under words of sound k, whereby there is sound k, which is coming from letter CH. But if you are looking for a rule, personally, I've not been able to find one. However, if you are grouping them, group those words under words of sound k. However, you show CH as another spelling of sound k. I'm seeing in the chat, someone in the name of Anuradha has put that pass and pause, they all end in letters SE. The question is, when do we have this saying sound S, and when do we have this saying sound Z? Remember, in English, we say, when we find at the end of the word, it makes this case we are having SE saying S. I want us to look at this word clearly. When you look at the word Paris, it has a consonant before SE. When you look at the word pause, it has a vowel before SE. Therefore, if a word has a consonant before SE, SE will say S. If a word has a consonant before, if a word has a consonant before SE, SE will say S. If a word has a vowel before SE, SE will say Z. For example, when you see house, louse, pause, and all those other words, they are saying letters SE is saying Z, because behind it there is a vowel. But when behind SE there is a consonant, it will simply say S. I don't know whether someone has been able to understand me there. Madam, I'm asking for another question.
Yes, and there was a question in the beginning. At what age we should introduce syllables?
I'm not so sure in your country, but for us in Uganda, we introduce syllables at the age of 4. It is either at 4 or at 5. By that time, the children are in their second year of being at school.
Okay,
so when the children come to class for us here, when the children come to school for us here in Uganda, they join school at 3 years. Then after being in school for 1 year, they move to a class which we call middle class. In middle class, the children are 2 years, and when the children finish learning the first 3 groups, those are around 18 sounds, then we teach them even the single sounds. When you reach a level of introducing the alphabet, the moment you finish introducing the alphabet, it means your children's brains have grown to some level. So we introduce the syllables here in Uganda at the age of 4. In fact, 4 to 5, that's when we introduce that. But remember, you as a person who teaches phonics, it is better you teach families before teaching syllables. Because for me, I find syllables being slightly harder than the families. So when you look at the phonics between the age of 4 to 5, it will. However, if you realize that syllables are becoming hard for your children, it is better you first teach them the word families, because word families are much, much simpler. Then someone earlier on asked that, is it necessary for us to teach the children the types of syllables? I want to say some things are for us as teachers and parents. Because for us to be told this, the type of syllable is called this, I find that as not being necessary. Let the children learn the syllables in the words. They know this is a syllable, but there's no need for you to begin to decide there is also this type, because there are 7 types. The answer is no. I'm having on the screen, Panchapa is, by the way, I hope that is how the name is spoken out. I might be speaking it out wrongly. Please, you simply forgive me. Panchapa is saying that the first and second student or standard textbook, I hope they have introduced the sound system. I'm not so sure about those books, but I think you people who use these books properly understand them. For me, I know that we introduce the syllables after children have learned at least a good number of sounds. When the children know the sounds made by the 26 letters of the alphabet, and you have also introduced vowels, we are talking about the short vowels, it will be just okay for you to introduce the syllables. Syllables are introduced at a time when you want the children to learn how to form words. So if you have finished forming the first words here and there, you can now introduce the concept of syllables. I don't know whether I have been very clear. If I'm not so clear, you can still let me know. Madam, I'm requesting for another question.
Yes, the next question is, want to know how to teach voiced and unvoiced the answer sound.
The voiced and unvoiced. This comes back to the issue of actions. You as a teacher, do you understand or do you have the actions for these sounds?
The same question is raised by Fatima
The
also.
difference you have to do or to look. The difference is in how the tongue sticks out. When you are speaking the word thank, the tongue sticks out a lot. When you are speaking the word this, the tongue does not stick out. Therefore, when you are teaching the children, it is going to be about how does the tongue stick out. Does it stick out so far, or it sticks out slightly shorter? So when you look at the word thank and you compare with the word this, so the tongue sticks out a lot when you are saying. When you are saying, it does not stick out. But for the children, when you are teaching them, it is not possible for you to tell them that that there is a rule for this or there is no rule for this. Here, what we do, we use the trial and error method. When I say trial and error, we say speak it using the. If it does not sound right, then go to. So if a child says thank, the child will simply automatically know that you cannot say thank. Children to use the trial. If the is wrong, go for th. If the th is wrong, go for the th. Therefore, if the voiced is not right, you go for the unvoiced. That is what, for me as a teacher, I tell my children and my teachers that if it does not work, you try the other way. But it is important when you display these words in the class, the children will automatically master that for these words, we say the. For these words, we say th. That is what I can simply let you know. I hope my screen can be seen. I want to explain what someone asked earlier on.
Yes, your screen is visible.
May someone give us an example of a quadrigraph? I want us all to look at what we are having on the screen. When you check on the screen, we are having the word taught. The word taught is made up of three sounds. We have sound t, we have sound o, and sound t. So the word becomes taught. When you look at this word in the middle here, what I'm having there, what I'm going to underline, my screen is not accepting. It has underlined. That one is a quadrigraph. Why are we calling it a sound which is coming from 4 letters? When you look at this word, we are having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters, but only 3 sounds. So when your children are blending, let them blend as they count. Where I will say t, o, t, and we know there are 3 sounds. But how do we differentiate a single sound and a sound made by 3 letters? We have what we call the bullets. We place a dot for T under here. I can't place because I'm using word. If I was using something which can allow, I would have put there. But I want to say that here you put a bullet under T. Under T. When I say a bullet, I'm meaning a dot. You draw a dot under T and you put a line on AUGH, and then you put a dot under T. So the children will know that when there is a dot, that sound is made up of 1 letter. When there is a line, that sound comes from more than 1 letter. They can be 2, 3, or 4. Therefore, the children will know that what the teacher has underlined is pronounced together. What the teacher has underlined is read at once. So the child knows that we have sound O, and sound T. The child will look at letters A, U, G, H. And this child will know that these letters, since the teacher has underlined them, they are all supposed to be read together because they are making 1 sound. For me, that is how I would encourage you to teach the quadrigraphs, unless someone has not got me right. Madam, have I been clear?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And there's another question, that how to teach Y at the end of word, which makes E sound, as in muddy, jolly, story, daisy.
We have the word muddy. We have the word jolly. Here, I want us to remind ourselves that we already learned sound E, this sound here. We learned this sound. But now, we learned that sound, for example, in the word bean. Later, we went and taught our children this sound as sound E. For example, in the word bean. Remember, this one is the mother spelling, the one which we find as part of the 42 sounds. Now, after children learning this, we introduce other spellings. We shall tell our children that sound E can also be written using letters EA, for example, in the word bean. But we shall also tell our children it is possible for us to write sound E using letter Y alone. For example, in the word A, E. So we tell our children that instead of putting letters E at the end as sound E, we put their letter Y. Therefore, our children will understand that when we have a word which has 2 syllables or which has 2 vowels, and the last vowel is being made by letter Y, that letter Y makes a long E sound. End of a two-syllable word, that letter Y makes the long E sound. That is how we can explain to our children. When you look at the words like lazy, you realize that this word has a long vowel there. So that is how it is supposed to be segmented. That is how it is supposed to be broken down. So how are we teaching our children? Let's tell our children that there are so many spellings of sound. E, one is of EE, one is of EA, one is of letter Y alone when it comes at the end of a word which has two syllables, or at the end of a word which has two vowels. When Y comes at the end, it will make sound E. But I want us to remember that there are so many ways of writing sound E at the end, in words. But for children who are beginners, we teach only 3. If you would allow me, I would give you others. Madam, is that fine?
Yes, I hope it is clear.
Members, is it clear?
Yes, sir, it is clear, sir. Very much clear, sir.
Thank you so much.
Is there any other question? Is there any other question? Anyone? If you have written any question in the chat box which we have missed, you can type it again, or you can simply ask by unmuting yourself. Okay, there's a question how to rectify blending problem in some kids. They cannot blend easily.
Madam, allow me to first finish up here and then we go to that. I wanted to tell the members in the house that there are so many other ways. I can give you just a few here. You can also find the words like donkey, the word donkey, the word money, the word valley, the words like trolley, and so many others. You realize that letters EY at the end are saying E. It is according to which class you are going to be teaching. When you look at the word thief, it would be E. So in this word, letters IE are saying E, and there are so many other words which we can add there. Words like grief and so many others. Therefore, my request is that as we are teaching our children, the moment you finish teaching the 42 sounds, tell your children that some of these sounds can be written using different spellings. We first taught the E of EE because the children were still young. So we teach them the E, which is the simplest and the commonest. Thank you so much. Madam, you were asking a question?
Yes, and the question was about blending. How to
blending problems in children.
Yes, how to rectify blending problem in some kids. They cannot blend easily.
Thank you. There are children who can blend. Let me first begin with this. A child tells you E, and the child tells you that the word is pen. I don't know whether someone has ever had such a problem.
Yes, we do have.
When a child is having that, it means this child has not yet fully mastered the sounds. The child has not fully understood that words come from sounds. This child thinks that you can say any sounds and you say any word. So what is happening? The child was not given enough time to learn the sounds. That's number one. So if your child has a problem with blending, first ask yourself, has my child taken enough time to learn and understand the sounds? Number two, children have blending problems because teachers put sounds which the children have not yet learned. You teach group one and group 2, but you give the child a word which has a sound from group 3. The moment that happens, the child will be confused. Another problem is that some children are not able to keep sounds in their mind. There are some children whom you will teach the sounds over and over. You teach 2 sounds today, you come tomorrow and the child cannot remember any sound. You teach right now, after 20 minutes, and the child cannot remember any sound. Those children are having their issues here and there. And then you as a teacher, how do you address these problems? How do you address these challenges? Number one, when we are blending for children, we blend. The first one is that the first sound is spoken louder than the other sounds. For example, if you are blending the word sun, you are supposed to speak loudly sounds, and then others are whispered. Why do we do that? When you speak louder, you are picking the child's attention. When you come slower, the child wants to listen and will even be more attentive. So when you are blending, we shall say s, a, n, which means the first sound is louder. The other sounds are down, or they are, which word can we use? They are softer. So when they are softer, the child will focus even more because they want to listen. Number two, when you are introducing blending, start blending by giving children words whose sounds can be sustained. Whose sounds can be sustained. When I say sustaining, I want us to look at a sound s, l, n. Let's compare those sounds with the sound g, sound d, sound b, sound k. When you look at those sounds, the first sounds up can be sustained because we can say s, but you cannot say g. You see that? So when you are blending for the children, it is better you introduce to them the words whose sounds can be sustained. For example, when you have the word sun, we can say s, a, n. Almost every sound there can be sustained. So what happens is the children can easily relate. Another way you can do is what we call blending using objects. When you blend using objects, you are going to make things very simple for the children. Allow me to ask for someone to give me some objects here in the house and I show you what I'm talking about. Just give me 1 minute, I get objects and I show you.
Yes, sure.
Daddy, that people.
So please unmute yourself. Please unmute.
Okay, I'm back. I simply want to show what we call object blending. The children find things very hard. So what can you do? You are going to blend for the children and you tell them to go and pick the object. For example, we shall show the children and we say, this is a cup. We shall say cup. Then we shall say tin. Then we shall say pen. Allow me to use a pencil, but when I'm calling it a pen, it is here. And then you shall say pen. So what happens is, put these objects in front of the children. And together with your children, you say the names, cup, pen, tin. Then you tell the children, I'm going to blend or to sound the word. When you hear the word, one of you will stand up, you go and pick the object. What are you trying to do? You are introducing in the children's mind that you don't just say any word, but every word has its meaning, and therefore every word must be given enough attention. For example, when you say the child has stand up, goes and picks the tin. Why is the child able to pick the tin? It's because the child focused on the few objects in front, and the child focused on hearing the individual sounds in the word. I want to say that there are so many activities we can do to help children with blending problems. If you can remind me after here, I can share so many of them in the WhatsApp group. I have the book where I put all these. Has that been clear?
Yes, sir. I hope everyone is clear. Is there anyone who has any more questions? I am very pleased to announce that we will be having these live sessions once in a week. So you can always note down your questions and we can discuss them every week. As of now, is there any more question?
Ma'am, I have a doubt, ma'am.
Yes.
Whenever I'm teaching my kids the sound for A and the sound for E, the A sound, they are easily able to tell me it is A. But when I teach them the sound for the letter E, I am telling them to do with this action, cracking the eggs, A. But they are getting confused with the A sound and with the E sound. So any other way, different way where I can make them understand in a better way between the sound A and E. I am using props, ma'am, but the children are having a lot of confusion.
Okay, so let's see what sir is explaining us.
Thank you so much. I have heard the question so well. When you tell the children, when you taught the children sound ah, and you taught them sound eh. However, when you are telling them about sound ah, they think you're talking about sound eh. When you talk about sound eh, they think you're talking about sound ah. Now, why is this happening? You must have introduced letter names in your class. Did you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to ask, which age group is this?
This is 4 plus, sir. 4.2, 4.3.
Okay, these are 4-year-olds, which means what the biggest cause of confusion is when teachers introduce letter names when children have not fully mastered the sounds.
No, sir.
That's why we keep telling teachers never introduce letter names unless your children have fully mastered the sounds. Okay. So your children were still struggling with understanding sound A, and again you brought in letter A. Okay. Your children were still trying to understand sound A, and then you brought in letter E. Time will come when they confuse letter E with sound E. You are giving them a word like, you're telling them to write the word ink, and the child will write for you a different word. Let me say the word is ink, and the child will write for you ink. Why? They were still trying to understand this as sound E, then for you, you brought in this as letter E. So the biggest cause of confusion in children is introducing letter names when they have not fully mastered the sounds. So what do I encourage you to do? For now, first stop teaching them letter names. Go back and revise with them the sounds. You can tell them that every sound has a name. Every sound has a name. And you tell them sound S, its name is S. Sound A, its name is A. Sound E, its name is E. But you do this after the children have been given enough time to understand what sounds are. I want to tell you that the problem you are facing is the same problem we are facing in our country. The parents love their children to sing the alphabet. Yet for us as teachers, we want to first teach them the sounds. You find in the parents' homes, they have the alphabet chart even before the child comes to school. The child comes singing the alphabet. Then when the child comes to school, you teach them the sound. They go back home, they are singing alphabet. At school, sound. At home, alphabet. Now, that confusion is what brings that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. So is there anyone left with any question? So we are really very thankful to you, sir, for giving your valuable time, and we hope to continue this so that the teachers and parents who are associated with CMA can get the benefit and they can get the right answers for all their queries.
Thank you so much, madam. I want to encourage the person who asked about blending problems for children. Remind me in our WhatsApp group. I want to give something slightly detailed for how do we help children to master blending without having some of these problems.
Okay, yeah. So whatever sir is going to share with me, I'll be sharing it with you all. And sir is already there in our WhatsApp group. So I think that's all for today. And we are looking forward for many such more sessions. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you everyone for being the part of this. And I can see people watching us live also. And as I have told you that this meeting is being recorded, so it will be uploaded very soon on our YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe all our social media handles, Facebook page, Insta page, and YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Please share also so that others people can also take the benefit. That's all for the day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Have a nice time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shweta, ma'am. It's really helpful to us, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, sir.